ESPN Madison's coverage of Big Ten football media days rolls on live from Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis. I'm Alex Strouf with you here on 100.5 ESPN. The stash is back. Badger safety Hunter Wohler joins me now at Lucas Oil Stadium. I feel like I've asked you more questions about your mustache than actual play on the field the last 3 years, Hunter, so I apologize, but you broke it back out for Big Ten media days. I'm excited about that.
Yeah, it's always out. It's always out. I think it might be for camp there might be a different look, so we'll see. I can't say too much on that, though.
Oh, okay, that's intriguing. Maybe I'll try to get more on that, but I will give you credit though. It seems like the mustache is fuller than it was like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
so we're making progress.
We are. We're making progress. It's coming around. I gotta trim it up a little bit, but it's definitely working.
I'm happy for you, bro. That's great. So I was just checking in on you. I was talking to sources around the building today. Barefoot water skiing. Tell me about that because that sounds terrifying.
Yeah, if you've never skied before, it definitely can be. But I grew up on the lake, grew up skiing. But yeah, going 42 miles an hour on your bare feet is usually a little bit intimidating for some people.
So I imagine you started water skiing at a young age.
Yes.
In the wonderful state of Wisconsin with the most lakes in the country. When did you decide, hey, we should just get rid of the skis, I can just do this thing? Like, how did that come about?
My parents. My parents were a part of a competitive ski team.
Oh, no kidding.
Before I was born, yeah. And then so when I was little, I was kind of a part of the team. I was too small and too young to really do anything, but I was around it. And then, growing up, just was always skiing. We lived on the lake for pretty much my whole life. Always been skiing. And then we were actually just talking about it this weekend because I was home. But I think the first time I barefooted, I was like 10, maybe.
Really?
Yeah. Now you don't got to be going 42 at 10 years old.
No, yeah, that sounds dangerous. But so I'm curious, Hunter, and I'm sorry I'm stuck in this. We'll talk football at some point. But so is this something you still do like during the season? I imagine not, right? Like in case of injury, or are you not going to get injured because it's water? I'm so confused on how this works.
No, I definitely don't do it during the season. During the summer, I will a little bit.
Okay.
But I think it's one of those things where it's like I've been doing it for long enough that I'm not really concerned about injury because I know how to fall if that were to happen. Like I understand how it works. So I guess it doesn't worry me as much now. I could understand Coach Fick being a little nervous.
He's not listening, at least yet.
Yeah,
I know that.
so it's just one of those things that we don't necessarily need to talk about with him.
So let's talk a little football because I think your journey at Wisconsin has been so fascinating, right? You were probably the most outspoken when the transition came to Luke Fickell as your head coach last year, or really about a year and a half ago now when he was named the head coach. You wanted to stay at Wisconsin. You wanted to be the leader of this defense, and ultimately you were. You led the team in tackles last year, and you led a really solid defense in year one under Tress and Fickell. What made you so passionate about staying in an era that it's pretty easy to leave if you want to?
I just think Wisconsin's special. I think it's not like many places in the country. I think the locker room has a lot to do with that. But it's a special place, and I grew up dreaming of going to Wisconsin, and so why would I leave it? And I knew that Coach Fickell was a good coach. Just from kind of watching him from the outside, I knew that he had a great staff. So I figured I'd give him a shot, and it's worked out. I think he's a great coach, and I trust in what he has planned for this season.
Year one to year two, what's the comfortability difference when you get kind of a new system? I know everybody kind of runs the same thing in college football, right? But obviously when there's different coaches and there's different ideas being floated around, it's always a little bit different. So from year one to year two, what's the comfortability difference for you?
Much, much, much more comfortable. Much more comfortable. It's just, and it's not like I was uncomfortable last year.
Right. Well, you were first team All Big Ten, so you did all right, yeah.
But, yeah, it's always, no matter what kind of change there is in coaching or anything like that, there's always going to be growing pains, and you got to take time to get comfortable and, build that relationship. And so now coming into this year, like we've got a full year under our belt, full season's done. And so now this year it's just playing. Like we know what's expected. We had a great offseason. Coach Fick he pushed us all off season long to just keep going, keep grinding. And so I think we're ready for the season once it gets here.
I talked to Jake Chaney about this a little bit earlier, but it is an interesting philosophy change when you go from a head coach who's offensive-minded to a head coach who's defensive-minded, like Fickle is. How much of a difference is that for you? Obviously, you had a great defensive coordinator when you had an offensive-minded head coach in Jimmy Leonard, but I think to have the guy at the top being more of a defensive-minded guy and obviously played nose guard in his collegiate and NFL days, I imagine that's a little bit easier for you as a defensive player?
It's easier to an extent. Because Coach Fickle's a tough dude, so he's, with him being defensive-minded, he's going to be, you're under a microscope all the time. But no, it is great having him be so defensive-minded, just because you can bounce ideas off him real easily, and you can go up to him with any questions. He's going to give you an answer. Like his door's always open, and he just wants to see the team succeed, and he pushes us, which is great, which is what we need in order to, get where we need to get this season.
Badger safety Hunter Wohler with me here at Big Ten Football Media Days in Indianapolis. I'm not going to ask you about College Football 25, but before the game came out, they released the top 100 players in the game, at least in terms of rating. You and Rico, both in the defensive backfield, made that list. That had to be pretty special to know, hey, me and my guy in the defensive backfield are viewed as two of the best players in not only the Big Ten, not only the state, but the entire country. Like, that's got to be a pretty sweet feeling, right?
Yeah, it's a cool feeling. It's definitely a cool feeling. The other thing is it's also a video game.
It is.
So it's, you wanna get to this season and, prove it for real and hopefully prove that you deserve to be higher. But it is a cool feeling. Rico's a heck of a player. He deserves all the recognition that he gets because he's truly a stud and he makes a lot of game-changing plays.
It seems like in past years, defensive backs in the Big Ten overall have gone really high in the draft, right? We've seen a lot of guys from the Big Ten go in the first couple of rounds in the draft. And I mentioned you and Rico are viewed as two of the best defensive backs in the Big Ten. I don't want to look too far ahead after what's after Wisconsin, but I imagine knowing the shine that D-backs in the Big Ten are getting, and you got as a first-team selection last year, I imagine there's pro aspirations following Wisconsin.
Of course. I mean, that's playing college football. If you don't want to play at the next level, then you probably shouldn't be playing in the first place. But yeah, I mean, there's definitely excitement, but we got to take care of business during the season first in order to get to that point.
So you're a Wisconsin guy, so I'm sure you were familiar with Platteville prior to last year. But now this year you go back to Platteville for the first 2 weeks this year. It was 1 week last year, 2 weeks this year for the Platteville fall camp. Is the 2 weeks thing, is that like exciting? Because I know it got rave reviews a year ago, but 2 weeks seems like a long time to be bunked down in a city you're not typically used to.
2 weeks is cool. I mean, I don't mind it too much. The food's good.
That's a big positive.
Big positive. The guys loved the food last year, but like during camp, you're doing football 24/7. Like you're with the guys 24/7 anyway, so it's really not that much different than being back in Madison. The only downfall of it, one of the only downfalls of it, is I miss my own bed.
I imagine.
I love, like, when we get back onto campus after that 2 weeks, when I lay in bed, it's going to be a beautiful thing.
Lights out, yeah, no doubt. So what is the bed situation? Are you like in dorms and twin mattresses?
Oh yeah, dorms, twin mattresses. You got a roommate, so I feel bad for the linemen because they definitely don't fit. Did
you live in the dorms your freshman year?
I did.
Okay, so you had that bed at one point. I imagine you don't miss it though.
I don't miss it. I put a mattress topper on it, one of them little foam things.
That's a smart move. I did that as well.
And it was great. But I didn't hate being in the dorms. You don't get privacy obviously, but I like being in the dorms. We had all the boys in one hallway and we were hanging out all the time, so it's a lot of fun.
Convenience is a nice thing. Hunter Wohler, the Badger Star safety, with us here at Big Ten Football Media Days. I heard a rumor about Friday, just a couple days from now, Hunter. I have the day off because I'm going to be tailgating at AmFam Field. I heard somebody's throwing out the first pitch on Friday. Is that true?
It's word around the street. Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Okay. Did you play baseball as a kid?
I did. I mean, I played a little bit. I played like first and second grade. Then I came back and played 6th through 8th. I was not a great baseball player.
Okay, so I imagine Friday there's going to be more, like, is there more nerves being at AmFam Field throwing out a first pitch as a quote-unquote not very good baseball player than there is on like a Saturday afternoon at the camp?
I don't know about more nerves, just a different type of nerves. But yeah, it'll be interesting. We'll see. I just gotta hope I make it to the plate and I put it somewhere catchable.
As I mentioned, I'll be there. I'm going to have to clock it. Can you give me a speed prediction?
Oh, I'm not throwing it hard. I might, if I throw it hard, I might throw my arm might fall off.
Yeah,
so
we don't want that.
No, we're gonna take it nice and easy.
I know you guys have a game by game mentality, right? When it comes to the season, you're looking forward to Week 1 more than any other game on in the season. But I imagine with this new look Big Ten and obviously that big Alabama matchup at the camp in September, you've got to be circling a couple, right? That Alabama game, that USC game, it's just different than anything you've experienced during your time at Wisconsin, right?
Yeah, I mean it's. Being able to play teams like that have been historically that good and typically at the top every single year, you always look forward to that. That's what playing college football is all about. And you love the competition and you want to play against the best. And it's a great chance to prove yourself and for the team to prove themselves and do that on a big stage. So yeah, I mean, yes, you look forward to those games, but got to take it week by week, otherwise it catches up on you real quick.
That's fair. That's definitely fair. Last thing for Hunter Wohler here at Big Ten Football Media Days. So I heard a rumor that there's a suit guy at Camp Randall that kind of gets you dressed for Big Ten Media Days. So you're wearing a great suit. You're the best dressed on your team. I'm going to give you the crown.
Thank you.
You've got like a light red blazer with some pink and gray accents throughout, a nice black and white tie, some gray pants. Did you pick this out yourself, or did the suit guy hook you up?
So I picked out the blazer. I picked out the blazer pattern.
Good pick.
And then he kind of helped me piece the rest of it together. But I saw this pattern. I figured it would look pretty cool.
Between you, Jack, and Jake, you think you did the best?
Yeah, of course.
My guy does not have confidence. Hunter Wohler, Badger Safety. Appreciate the time, brother.
Awesome. Thank you very much.